Uh-oh.
What do you mean don't pass to you right away, Bailey?
Like, don't make me go
You're the
first.
obvious target.
Why am I? You picked the topic.
Well, yeah, but still, I can't go to myself.
Well, yeah,
doesn't
but
seem
I
right.
think you can
So,
pass
Dan,
it
what do
like
you
that.
think, Dan? Well, Dan, I'll tell you this, Dan.
Oh, shit. Let me turn this down.
Did you
Well,
swear
I'm just
already?
saying. You
Oh,
can
my
say, you,
gosh. Already it's ruined. Well,
We haven't even-
that's... We're not even on.
Now our faces are on. You didn't even get to the point where our faces are on, and you're swearing already.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Gosh darn you, Bailey.
Oh, no.
Dag
Let's start
nabbit.
over. We can start over.
Mulligan.
Dang it.
You fruitin' dumb butt.
Consarnit. Good
right.
evening.
Hi,
Good
Michael.
evening.
We'll go to you because Bailey wants to be excluded from
Okay.
today's discussions.
All
So It
right.
only seems fair to exclude him since he requested it. I'll just go ahead and mute his mic now. A or B, and this is just you. This is you personally. Your thoughts. If you were a police officer and you had access to an AI tool, would you A, let that AI tool do your job for you, or B, let it help you but give it some oversight because it's AI?
I would definitely, if between those two, I would definitely just let it help me, but a lot of oversight.
You would think that would be the right decision. Unfortunately, as I ran across the other day, that doesn't seem to be the decision that's being made in a lot of departments. So that's what we'll discuss tonight.
It's a fascinating topic, and it is a rabbit hole that we could go down for a lot of reasons. Boy, oh boy.
And we're going to descend down that rabbit hole, so heaven help us all. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Sidebar. I'm Dan. To my right is Ashley. Below me is Bailey, who will have his mic muted for the entire show. And Michael on the bottom right.
Good evening.
So let me bring everybody up to speed here real quick in the audience just so they understand what we're talking about. And I'm going to give just the 50,000 foot, like a minute or less view on this. So I ran across an article, was it yesterday, from Mother Jones. Now, the article is not perfect. It has its biases in it because Mother Jones has their biases. However, they did do some good journalism, and they found out that there is a lot of departments out there, police departments, that are testing artificial intelligence through Axon. Axon is the company that does tasers and body cameras and all of that kind of stuff. And the software they're testing, it's called Draft One. And it takes the audio from the body camera and it auto-generates police reports. So you would look at that and you say, okay, well, that's kind of cool. It saves on time and all that. And the idea is it's supposed to have some officer insight. Well, it turns out that a lot of these departments who have been testing it have been turning off that whole human oversight feature and just running with straight AI reports. So the question is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is AI going to be more accurate than an officer, or would you prefer a human involved? And what's that going to mean when it gets to court? So that's kind of where we're at. Bailey, if you promise not to swear for the next 30 seconds, I'll go ahead and let you give us your thoughts.
I'll start my clock now. I got a little...
Go.
So I guess with this AI thing, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when this technology is going to be getting into our judicial system. And I'm glad we're having this really important conversation, because that article you referenced really kind of freaked me out, that the police were kind of disabling features that could be protective against kind of bias reports, and kind of hiding the fact that they were using AI. That was concerning to me, but I have way more to discuss underneath all of that. But the first thing that worried me is, like, why, if police want to use this technology, go for it, but why are you disabling certain settings, or trying to hide that you're using this kind of material and saying, well, yeah, some mistakes might be made. Oops. That's not an acceptable answer. So I'm glad we're talking about this, because this is not acceptable. You know.
No, I would tend to agree. Just full disclosure, I'm a little bit of an AI guy myself, but with limits. I've not made it a secret that because I run multiple businesses and I run this YouTube channel as well, I use AI much like I would use an employee. I use it to streamline my systems and routines and my processes. I use it to help me gather information, things like that. But nothing I ever create is strictly AI. AI informs me and helps me gather information to get in a direction. So I can understand its usefulness in some forms of policing from that standpoint, perhaps, but certainly not from a takeover perspective. Even more disturbing, I suppose, it's been a long time since I've really perused the comments on this channel because it's just gotten too big to do it. But a few months ago, when I was still paging through them religiously, the amount of people who were calling for AI to take over the judicial system was
goodness.
crazy.
Frightening.
Yeah.
But I suppose the police is step one. So,
Well, and to that end, and this is quite a while ago, but I remember a couple of years back, I read numerous articles about AI lawyers, about people developing AI to handle family law, to handle their civil cases, and that AI could do it better than an attorney because, it would just be able to easily cross-reference with legal precedents, case law, all this. And even at that time, it was a hard no for me. But then, hearing about it in policing, again, I think AI can be useful for cutting down on some of the workload because a lot of these police reports, it's boilerplate stuff in the sense that you have the who and the what, and the when and the where and all that. And I think just to kind of streamline that process, as long as you're there and kind of overseeing it, great. But now I think we're starting to see why some of these judges, like, Judge Fleischer is very famous for scrutinizing severely some of these police reports. And he says, man, who's writing these reports? And maybe some of those reports it's not a who, it was a what that wrote them. And I think that becomes a problem because if AI writes these reports and if they're not, if there's no oversight in them, two things can happen. One, you could have litigants, you could have defendants that are going to be let off the hook for maybe something they did do, but because the report is written so badly, a judge is going to find no probable cause and they're not going to go back and investigate any further. Or somebody could get in much deeper than they otherwise would have been because the AI decided that, based on some algorithm, that it's just going to fill in some gaps and missing data and either present a report that's false or misleading or whatever, because, again, it's only as good as the input that you put in. If you're not putting in much input, garbage in, garbage out. So it just could lead to a big mess. I mean, that's really the problem. That's the short version of the problem. I see it.
I agree with you, Michael. I really think there needs to be a human person behind AI. I don't think we should just let it do its thing and unleash what it wants to unleash. When I was reading the article, one thing that it mentioned was the it would draft and it wouldn't record what it was changing in the draft and things like that, because it was like whenever an AI changes something in the script, it was saying that it doesn't record that change, or if an officer comes in and changes it, it doesn't record that change either, which I'm really against. I really think there should be a draft, there should be the original somewhere, in my opinion. And then I think, yeah, I think officers just need to proofread and check for accuracy, because AI can just do whatever it wants. It wasn't actually there. So I don't know. I feel like some of the nuances in communication might be lost upon the AI, because human nuance is quite complex, and I don't think it can pick up on that either. So those are my points on that.
So along those lines, I can give a little bit of a personal testimony to that, talking about the loss of nuance with AI.
Yeah.
One of the ways that we use it here in the TCF bunker is to take a look at long court dockets. So we can kind of get an idea of what's gone on in this court today. Is there anything that's worth talking about? Is there anything that's worth making into its own video? Things like that. So the option A is like Judge Simpson's docket came in 2 parts today, and he was in court for probably 9 or 10 hours total today. So option A is I sit here for all 9 or 10 hours and watch the whole thing. Or I take the transcript, I give it to AI, and I say, give me a summary of the interactions. And it will tell me at this timestamp, this defendant and this happened. At this timestamp, this defendant and this happened. But if I ask it for its thoughts on, was there a lot of drama in the interaction? Was the defendant nervous? Things like that. It can't get that because it's only seeing what's in writing. It's not seeing the actual reactions. Now, there is AI coming, and they're working on it, and it's a little bit better where it can look at video and stuff and be able to judge a little bit, but it's still going to miss a lot of the nuance. So, when we use it here, it's useful because I can say, oh, this one might be interesting. So then I'll go and look at that interaction, that hearing, rather than looking through the entire 10 hours of Simpson's docket today, for example, and just keying on that. But I still have to say yes or no.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's a
Either
really
this is
useful
interesting
tool.
or it's not.
It's a really useful tool, and you actually turned me on to it, and I kind of had fun with it, and I did some experiments with it. As far as like a law standpoint, it's really good about what you just said. It's like, I need you to find the needle in the haystack for me. You're going to save me that journey, that time, and you're going to find that needle in the haystack and isolate that for me. But if we're going to apply this into like a police report, I'm glad that it can streamline the transcripts. Okay, that's great. But if it's going to be generating a police report and it's finding all the needles in the haystacks for us and making it easy, we ought to verify that needle that is in the haystack. You have to verify that needle. All right. There needs, like what Ashley was saying, is like there needs to be a human element that's going to be checking through this stuff. And I got much more to talk about that later, because there is a human element that will be checking these things. Because my hair's not on fire about this AI thing, personally. That's where I'm coming from right now.
About
my
your
hair is
hair's
not yet, but I also see some significance of this. Like, I think where Michael was going was, there's implications where this can go into an appellate court level, and this can rise very quickly. And AI is going to be involved. So it's going to be, this is an emerging discussion about, hey, this could be very consequential, and AI and police reports and judges and plea deals.
And then do we just want to use it for misdemeanors, or should we give up responsibility for more bigger cases? That's also a topic as well.
Yeah.
From what I could gather, when they were testing it, there were specific like case types that they were testing it with, though they were not transparent about what those case types were. So I don't know what they're using it for.
Well, and I think what is scary to me is that AI can't always hear what people say perfectly clearly, and if it transcribes even one word wrong, Well, it depends on what word that is, and that can change the context of a whole sentence. You could go from something where somebody's just saying something and they're upset to a terroristic threat, even if they didn't make one. Or, I mean, there's a lot of different things that could potentially happen. And then if there's no oversight, it just goes into a report as fact. That to me is also a problem. And that's why I'm not against AI. I'm not one of these curmudgeons. The damn computers are just going to take over the world. I mean, that's already happened. So we're already there. So, I mean, that ship has sailed. But I'm not anti-AI in that sense, but I do think there are some areas where I would much prefer human oversight. Umpires in Major League Baseball, not so much. We can have AI there. That's fine. Hot take, I know. But in terms of they're much better at this. AI is much better at the strike zone. But in the law, where it can literally be life and death, I would much prefer human oversight. I mean, what's next? Are we gonna have AI juries? I mean, what are we doing?
No,
And I'm worried they'll get rid of the video
Bailey,
footage.
don't say. Well, hold on,
you're being a little hyperbolic.
Don't say that. Look, we're sitting. This is 2025. Okay, but who knows what's going to happen 20 years, 30 years from now?
That'll never happen. And I'm a scientist who avoids the word never, but that'll never happen.
I would avoid
I don't believe you.
I don't either.
Okay, proceed, counselor.
Because let me tell you something. I already the idea, the concept of having AI draft up your legal documents and basically being in place of an attorney, that's not something that's completely foreign anymore. I'm telling you that could happen. That's something that's out there. Yeah, AI isn't where it needs to be right now. I mean, you listen to AI music and, AI can do some decent music and stuff, but it still sounds watery and tinny. And I mean, you can tell it's AI, but there's going to come a point where it gets much, much better. The quality gets much better and it'll be very hard to discern. Same thing in writing. Yeah, right now, you can generally tell when AI wrote something.
Yeah.
Or when all the AI slop videos on YouTube, you can tell when it's an AI voice. At least I can. Now, there's a lot of people that can't, believe it or not.
They are getting better, but
it's getting better, but it's still, to me at least, it's still very easy to spot. But it's only going to get better. So you've got a point where, AI is going to take over a lot of things. This isn't just about LawTube and this, LawTube related stuff. This is about a lot of things. And I
there's just some things that are just sacred and
should be sacred.
Yeah.
Well, courts are sacred. We had a discussion about that on the previous episode and having deference for the courts. And, like I said, AI is not going anywhere, and I agree with you. There's a place for it, but the implication that somehow it could replace, I can't sign on for that. But it's where my issue lies is with attorneys, officers of the court, who are relying on this to file briefs, file motions in the court, and are relying on ChatGPT, for instance. And ChatGPT, I think Dan was kind of mentioning something like sometimes you can kind of get two different answers from ChatGPT, like you got to refine it. In other words, ChatGPT can be biased to what it kind of thinks you want to hear. And it will give you one answer, but then if you kind of go to it and you kind of interact with it, and I've experimented with ChatGPT, and it's like, but wait a minute, ChatGPT, did you consider this and this and this? And it's like, oh, you're right. Then it gives you a completely more holistic answer.
Sure.
And so lawyers are using this as well. This isn't just police reports, folks. That doesn't scare me as much as an attorney filing motions or hearings, and they're relying on cases that don't exist. ChatGPT would make up a case study, a case law, and cite it that just does not exist, and that is informing the courts. That's very intimate. That's in the courts. A police report, I'm a little less worried about that, but attorneys doing
I'm worried
this,
about both.
Yeah.
Yeah, because an attorney, like imagine you're the client of an attorney that decides, I got a lot of cases. I'm gonna go ahead, and especially a public defender. I got 71 cases. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna let AI handle about 45 of them or so, and that'll cut
the reason
down
why
my work.
I think it's far more egregious is because these folks ought to know better. These folks
I
went
agree
to
with
a
that.
4-year degree. They went to law school for 3 years. They studied hard, passed the bar. They know better. If you want to find
Agreed.
a needle in the haystack and save some time, great.
Yeah.
But double check your work
Sure.
before you file a motion that is going to impact. We're not talking, folks, about some student who has a history term paper that's due in 5 days and they just procrastinated.
Yeah.
And they're going to violate some school policy by using ChatGPT to make their 6-page paper. We're talking about a lawyer who's making a motion that is impacting someone's liberty,
Again, it's life or
their
death.
freedom,
Could
their
be.
reputation. They could be losing their employment, everything. So that's where I think it's far more egregious that an attorney thinks they can get away with it. Well, not get away with it, but that they actually
Get away with it. That's the right term. No, you got
people
it.
should know better. They
To piggyback on
Preach it, Bailey.
what Bailey is saying. So I use an AI email drafter. So that's how I get a lot of emails from all sorts of places. So I have an AI email drafter. It doesn't send emails for me. Okay? It just drafts them so I can review them and then I send them. So Bailey, you're saying more like that. Like if they draft a motion, like this is the motion you should file, and you review it and everything's good, you hit send, it's fine.
So
That's
you
fine.
are being far more responsible than somebody who has passed the bar and their license is on the
I'm not gonna let AI send emails for me. No way. No.
Exactly.
Not even emails. No.
Exactly.
If my name's on there, I'm not going to let it take credit for that. That's just not how I roll. So.
Yeah, ChatGPT is great. I don't want to put it. I mean, I think OpenAI. I think it's amazing, and it gets better and better all the time. So it's not to, hey man, you want to use it to write your history paper? It's probably a violation of some school policy, but I say go for it. Who cares?
Policy.
Who cares? As far as I'm concerned, it's busy work anyway. But kids, go ahead, use AI. But if you're an attorney, I would say, drafting a motion and then oversight. Maybe that's one thing. But just blindly go, all right, enter, copy, paste, send off to the court. Done.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't agree.
Well, the
Let
good
me
news
give you-
is that gives me hope is the courts, because this has been happening across the country, the courts have actually been responding appropriately, in my opinion. They have been sanctioning attorneys who've gotten busted doing this, and in the form of fines, and referred them to the bar for what do they call it?
Misconduct.
It's not quite, yeah. In other words, and they're going to have a hearing. They're going to have to explain themselves as to why did you file this motion, and your name's going to be on it. You signed it.
Right.
You're going to have to answer for it.
Inadequate representation.
You're putting your license in jeopardy.
Yeah,
when
you can't
that
practice.
happens.
If you lose your license, you
And it kind of rolls over to the police thing too. It puts the police officer in a bad situation too if they don't review it and they don't sign off on what this AI is generating, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, they could end up perjuring themselves.
Is that
Right. And then
they're
it puts
'cause they're
even
gonna
more
sign
pressure on
whatever-
judges.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
I was just gonna say because they're gonna put a signature on the bottom of it, whether they wrote it or not.
Yeah.
It's still a sworn document.
Maybe this is more a philosophical question, but it seems like we're trying to streamline the pipeline of folks who are
getting into the court system, who are engaging with law enforcement, and we're trying to make that quicker. And we all know that there's a bottleneck in the courts already. Like, is this really where we want to go? Like, are we trying to make this part more efficient? And is it going to be like, I don't know where we're going with this.
Well,
this just seems really wrong, and like
to
they're
your
not going to
point,
get this right.
Yeah.
It's one thing to do transcriptions. Like, I think, we might be talking right now. YouTube can be listening to us and transcribe that, and they don't always get it right. But for it to be like writing a report and making inferences as to charges,
Like specific things, like
no.
every detail type thing. Yeah.
There's
And
no
to your
way.
point, Bailey, as I was going to get to is, if you're trying to streamline this and make it more efficient on a law enforcement end, and then you send it up, this puts more pressure on judges to carefully scrutinize these police reports.
Yeah.
And we all know, and we have talked about it even here on Sidebar. We have talked about it in our chat. During TCF Live, we've talked about it off air, everywhere, that a lot of judges treat probable cause as a rubber stamp. Now, some judges, Judge Fleischer, very famous for it, even Judge Mercer in Florida, and some of these other, I've even seen Judge Glazer scrutinize probable cause. We've seen some do it, but they're going to have to scrutinize even more thoroughly if this continues, because, if you've got a badly written report, well, and it goes to a judge. Now that's extra time that they have to spend looking over a report. And then if they find no probable cause, then it goes back, will the prosecutor go ahead and try and get a grand jury? This could actually create a much bigger bottleneck. Ultimately, in trying to be more efficient, you actually wind up causing more of a headache, more of a bottleneck, more of a slowdown in our already overtaxed legal system.
Isn't that always the case?
Yes.
Think about it.
Yep.
Well,
you have all
go
sorts of tech issues. I mean, even AI itself is a tech product. How often do we experience problems with technology on an everyday basis? That's what we're going to kind of experience with the AI software if everybody keeps relying on that. People will stop or know how to craft a police report or craft this or craft that after a while because they're relying on the AI to do it for you. What if the AI goes down? That's also a concern that I had in my head.
It's kind of like when you go to the grocery store and the cash register isn't working properly and they actually have to count out change. Watching, and I hate to pick on Gen Z or but you watch some 20-year-old kid try to count change. And it's like basic math. It's like, oh my, and I mean, we've all seen it. That's why you guys are laughing. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, that's, so if AI goes, and we have a whole generation of people that don't know how to write reports anymore properly.
Exactly.
I mean, that's, the more you rely on, it's even like, again, sounding like a curmudgeon. This is where Mike sounds 10 times older than everybody else, but it's like these damn calculators, people don't even know how to do basic math no more.
Okay, so I got a serious question. So is this a supplemental report? Because I'm sorry, but a police officer has to, after they have an interaction, they arrest somebody, let's say a DUI, they have to sit in their car, type on their computer, make a report, give a narrative, right? But we're talking about the Axon thing that will transcribe it and will create a police report. So are we saying that the Axon report is completely replacing a police officer from sitting down in his car and typing out a narrative?
So that is what they are trying, yes.
Yes.
Okay, so they're kind of testing this out there. It's like, okay.
Yeah, so how this was supposed to work initially was that it would draft a report And then the officer was supposed to have to review that report and sign off on it after making
Oh,
any necessary
God.
changes.
I've pencil whipped so much paperwork when I was in the military. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that report's good. I'm going
That's
home.
how it's supposed to work.
I gotta go.
But then Axon came along, and they put this header and footer on the pages that said generated by AI. Because they wanted there to be transparency. But they also put it in there, quote, you can easily turn this feature off.
And they did.
No.
And so the police
don't
departments turned the feature off.
Yeah.
Now,
is
I will say
BS.
the reviews on it have been mixed according to what Mother Jones found. There were a couple of departments, there was one up in Alaska that was testing it and felt like it wasn't a time saver at all. It was actually just an extra expense. But it sounds like maybe their officers were using it properly. But then other places like Fresno, I think it was saying they thought it was the greatest thing in the world and they were going to look at expanding its use. And I think they're one of the departments that shut off oversight.
I don't think there should be an option to turn off that police officers don't need to review the report. I think that's where they goofed up.
People would just get out whiteout or something, remove the header and footer that way. You know, it's people will always try to find ways to cheat. Now
there needs to be some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? There needs to be some sort of not reliable. What am I trying to say? There's something on the officer to make signature the officer
or something.
Yeah, to certify it's correct and compatibility. Thank you, Dan. Yeah.
So let me give you a little extra heartburn because Bailey
already.
was like, a little while ago you were like, well, I don't think this is really going to go anywhere and it's never going to take over and all of that.
Well,
my son
juries,
Eli.
to clarify the record, everybody, I was referring to it's not going to replace juries. So
give it time. My son Eli has a YouTube channel where he covers AI stuff. That is what he does.
Okay.
He put up a video about 2 weeks ago now that's titled, Is It Too Early for AI in the Court? A $100 million startup thinks not. And this video was about a startup company called Harvey. And Harvey is writing like industry-specific AI to assist companies with their legal needs. And they've got some big hitting customers like Comcast, for example, has signed up with these people.
Wow.
So the influence of AI goes even beyond like the criminal end of things. It's creeping into like, corporate law needs and all of that.
I don't know.
So I don't think we're going to escape it, unfortunately, unless somebody pulls the plug. And hey, if somebody decides, like North Korea or something, to do one of those fancy EMP things once the little man figures out his rockets, then maybe we'll learn to live without AI for a while. But
it's
going just
anywhere.
embedded
and
everywhere.
It doesn't scare me. I mean, everyone has been freaking out about AI. I remember being in college. And I read a book about this, and it was like, it's going to, like, in 4 years, it's going to replace this. And, like, Ashley, when you mentioned, like, you can kind of have, like, sort of this secretary that can review emails and kind of draft things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been out for quite a while. And, everyone was like, it's going to replace it. And it hasn't happened. Everyone freaked out about the agricultural revolution and industrial revolution. And, I remember, when the internet came out and it was like, oh my God, email, the post office is going to be dead. I mean, yes, the post office sucks now.
I was just about to say, I deal with the post office to the tune of about $7,000 a year.
But it was still
horrible.
there. It's still there. But back in 2000, I remember the morning show was saying, what's an email? What is that? And oh my God, this is going to replace no.
Well, Bailey, there are. I keep getting ads for like companies that have only AI employees. I think it's definitely possible because those AI employees do things without, sometimes automatically without the manager doing anything or telling them to do anything, responding to emails, doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I don't know if we are too far away from things being fully automated by AI. I feel like it's getting better and better, and I feel people are trying to utilize it to the most of its capacity. So yeah,
I mean, yeah,
I
it's
think
one
it's
of
going
those
to be
things
there.
where automation, okay, not necessarily AI, but let me give you this. I'll draw a parallel for you. So, when I was young, many, many, many years ago, radio stations, okay, radio stations were staffed mostly around the clock. Why? Because you needed somebody to play the carts or play the, the vinyl or whatever. And you needed somebody to run the board. And as the 70s turned to the 80s and the 80s turned to the 90s, we started integrating computers into broadcast stations, not just radio, but TV. Well, we had automation systems that started to come in, and they replaced the human side of it. And we didn't even have personalities, or if we had personalities, people would just record voice tracks and they'd insert them into the automation system. And a guy like me could sit here in Phoenix and voice track a radio station in Wisconsin, for example. And so automation took over, and it's not so much AI. It's a program. It's either a script or it's an automation program like I run even on my own streaming station. And there's the human interaction in that you program and you schedule things on it, but it does all the work and it takes the human aspect out of it. So that has certainly led to a lot of people losing their jobs. And it would not surprise me that since AI is like a fancier automation, it has, an intelligence baked into it, maybe even a machine learning aspect built into it. So, a lot of other industries are going to find that they don't need, or that some jobs are going to become redundant. So, I'm not saying AI replaces all humans on planet Earth, but there are certainly going to be industries where people that may have jobs today aren't guaranteed to have them 5 or 10 years from now.
I think where the hype is really coming from is because you have all these industries in all sorts of sectors. And make no mistake, folks, the criminal justice system is a business sector. You can make a lot of money in the business sector. And so here, Axon is a company that supports law enforcement in a particular way. And here comes along this technology called AI, and every company is trying, and a sector of business is trying to get on this AI bandwagon for, Dan was touching on it, on like efficiency. Like, who wouldn't want to be more efficient? If I'm a business and I can come to you, whether it's a police department or a normal business, and say, I could save you 45% in your overhead in employment, in labor, and I can automate this for you. Who wouldn't do that? What city wouldn't sign up for that, especially when cities are becoming more and more broke as their tax bases go down? Yeah, like if we can, streamline police reports, that worries me. But where I'm thinking where I don't get caught up in the hype is because, yes, of course, all these industries are going to come rushing into the field and trying to figure out like how to make money and do all this crazy stuff. I'm not over here panicking. I'm over here like, I got my popcorn. In about 4 years, there's going to be a court case, and we're going to realize that this is just not going to be acceptable. To go to Ashley's point about there needs to be some sort of something with these kind of reports, my suggestion was there needs to be some kind of just disclosure in the right-hand corner of a document that some or partial of this document may be AI generated, so that all parties are aware, state, prosecution, or I'm sorry, state, defense, the judge, anybody reviewing, a jury reviewing this evidence when they go back and deliberate, a judge that's reviewing this. For me, as a defense attorney, if I was a defense attorney, I would like to just, if we could come up with a rule that if any part of any of this document, any of these lines, if it's AI generated, I want a little indicator over here that says something about this document could be AI generated, whether it's an Axon police report transcript, whether it's a police report that was generated by this document that was signed by a police officer as an affidavit, and it's coming to the court as evidence. I want to see a little star in the corner so that as a defense attorney, when we go into prelim and we go into evidentiary hearings, I can say, Judge, this says some of this might be AI generated. I want the AI. I want the raw data. I want the police report. I want the camera footage, the real camera footage, not the transcribed one. And that's what a really good attorney is going to do. And that's why my hair's not on fire about this situation. And Ashley, you were talking about there needs to be a human element, a check on this. That's what attorneys are going to have to do in these cases.
Mm-hmm.
But that's an extra motion that has to be filed.
I can pause here or keep going. It's up to you.
But if they can turn off that thing, you say, Bailey, that it's put on the left-hand corner, like in the corner. That would not be good.
This would require, what I'm proposing would require like a legislative thing. Like the state of Texas would have to be like, if anything's AI generated and you got a jurisdiction police department that wants to engage in this, anything that's like assisted by that, like let's say it's just filling in the date, filling in simple demographics, like, okay, put the little star over there. Some of this might be AI generated. And it cues everybody to understand, like, if we're going to embrace this AI, and it seems like we're going to have to in many ways, I'm not saying it's going to be 100%. That's why I'm pushing back on you guys early on, that this is somehow going to just be a panacea and just totally fix everything. No. Just put a little corner. Go for it. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself. I hate when attorneys do that, by the way. Like, they're trying to make their case, and they keep repeating themselves. I'm like, I heard you the fourth freaking time, Bailey. Yes, go ahead.
No, I will say Utah has apparently passed a law that anything that's AI-assisted, it has to call it out within the four corners of the document.
It's easy.
But here's how I've been sitting here thinking about it while you guys have been chatting, and here's how I think this will go. I think it will be run out to the nth degree, especially as the technology gets better, and it will infiltrate more and more and more, and it will take over more and more until there's a pushback on it, at which point it will draw back a little bit, and the human element will be more sought after, more craved, and that will balance it back out. We're seeing the same type of thing right now on YouTube, where over the last couple of years, it's been absolutely flooded with a bunch of AI garbage because everybody's just trying to use this tool and push stuff out. But who's winning right now? It's channels like this where we have four human beings actually talking.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe AI tools are used in the background to help in the production or whatever, but it's a human thing. And I think that's where this eventually has to end up.
Just how long?
I think it gets integrated, but I think ultimately it falls back to more of a tool level thing, at least to the point before we get AI super intelligence and then it just kills us all. But that's another discussion.
That's another discussion.
Channel.
Yes. I mean, that's ultimately where it's probably headed. But I think the important thing to remember about this is we're going to have to see where it goes. But I do think there is going to have to be, Bailey makes a great point that legislatively, this is going to have to be addressed sooner rather than later by legislative bodies across the country, ultimately Congress. Now I'm a little bit afraid because most of these people are old. Almost use the F word. They're old folks,
Whip. I don't know.
And they're 70, 80, 90 years old. And these are people that, I mean, do you think, do you think any of these old guys know a damn thing about AI? It was like back when Napster was going on, that whole controversy. Of course, again, this is a little, I mean, Ashley's probably a little too young. Bailey might even be a little too young to, maybe not. I don't know.
No, I know Napster, yeah.
So
Kazaa, because I did Kazaa, Kazaa++, you could totally download.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So Bailey knows, but I mean, like, this is one of those things. This, again, this is my generation's big thing was, the piracy of music, Napster and Kazaa and all those other ones, Nutella and all that.
Okay.
So what happened there was it goes to the courts, and I'm thinking, these are guys that are 60, 70 years old. Some of them, they were like my dad. They don't even know how to turn on a computer, and I'm like, how are guys that don't even know about the technology going to make rulings on it when they don't understand it? And then lawyers are trying to explain it to them, and the lawyers may not even fully understand it, or maybe they do, but the gap, the knowledge gap is so great here. How are they supposed to understand? So I'm not sure that legislatively we're going to have some of these people that are going to be able to understand exactly what needs to be done.
I disagree.
There's not a chance that we're going to have people in the legislature that understand what needs to be done. When do they understand anything?
Well, I mean, that's my point. They get the simplest stuff wrong. And AI is a complex issue. This is not, I don't care if they're younger people, or not. I mean, but especially the older people, what do they know about this stuff? I mean, this is still a technology on the rise. So, I mean, some of us that follow it regularly, we don't even fully understand where it's going.
Yeah, can you imagine explaining this to Judge Stevens and seeing if
he would
you know
ask
what
if
I mean?
it dressed appropriately for church.
Yeah, yeah.
This isn't, I can't believe it's not butter here. I mean, come on.
Though. I have it in my head. I can imagine how it would go trying to explain this to people or legislative branch or anybody that is older. I feel like that's going to be an issue, definitely.
I disagree for a very different reason, that these legislatures can't understand this tech. I agree with you perfectly in spirit, but that's actually not the point. That's actually not the question that you need to be asking. These legislatures, just like back in the Napster days, even though they may be out of touch, they're very much in touch with their lobbyist who's going to be giving them $2,000 this year for their campaign. And so that debate, that issue was settled, by old people, but people who are more interested in a different, agenda. They had a different agenda. My concern with this AI, this emerging tech, is yes, we're going to have a bunch of goofballs up there on the hill, but promise there are going to be a bunch of people who are going to be giving them a lot of information and reason why this is going to be this and profitable that, and please help me with this. And so this is not going to be won by hearts and minds. This is going to be won by, we're getting very political, but this is going to be won by America, capitalism.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever makes the most money, whatever efficient, that's what's going to happen. So, however, the reason why I very much disagree with this entire premise altogether is because we have a constitution. We have the rules on the books. They're there. They're written. If I break the law, I have a right to a jury. Guys, we have heard these, when somebody takes a plea deal and they give up all these rights, we can quote this. We have heard those, surrenders of rights so many times we can quote them, right? You're giving up the right to a trial. You're giving up the right to subpoena witnesses and question your witnesses and your accuser and the state. You're giving up to a right, you're just giving up everything. And those can never go away. Those are in marble, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Whether
call me
AI 's there
cynical.
or not, it might help out in like the
I'm a little bit
efficiency
cynical
in
as
the
well.
courts. But I'm sorry, there's no way that I walk into a court in, I think somebody said 10 or 15 years, whatever, and there's like, 12 little AI robots going over there, and it probably says Amazon at the top of them, has the little swoosh, and they're going to decide my case.
I mean, we had an AI compete on Jeopardy some years ago. I mean, we're not far. I mean, I don't, and color me, get out the Crayolas, color me skeptical or color me cynical. But I'm telling you, I really think, Bailey, I have to say, I admire your idealism and your optimism. I really do. But the Constitution, I mean, since when has that mattered? I mean, I hate to say it, but yeah, I've been around way too long to see it.
Yeah.
2 thumbs up, Michael, because I was just about to say that the Constitution is great until either side, not just one side, both of them, decide that they're going to wipe their behind with it.
Yep.
And toss it to the side when they're done, which happens.
You see it in every administration.
It does
every
happen.
Administration, both sides.
So we can sit here and yell about protection all we want, and in spirit, I don't disagree with you, Bailey. I am very much a believer in that document. The problem is that not everybody else is.
Well,
just to reframe here slightly before we get too far in the weeds, because I think this is important. Jonathan pointed out in the chat, AI is here, learn to work with it or get left behind. I don't disagree with you, Jonathan. I think it's a matter of how it gets used. And the problem that we had with a lot of these police departments is they were totally taking over the job of writing the report rather than being a tool to help get it done. I embrace, I said it at the beginning of the show, and I say it all the time. I embrace AI here in the TCF bunker. I would not be able to run the multiple businesses and this YouTube channel without it, quite truthfully, because I need it to streamline my systems and my routines, but it never creates for me.
Yeah,
Never.
Trust me, I wish I could incorporate it into what I do more effectively and help to streamline my workflow. As it is, I mean, everything I do on YouTube, all of my videos, everything is, I mean, for better or worse, it's 100% just me. There's, yes, obviously I have, Michelle helps with suggestions and thumbnails and stuff like that sometimes. But what I'm saying is, it's all human. There's not AI, and I wish I could incorporate it in some way that would make some sense. But I'm obviously not going to, there's a certain level that I have to kind of figure that out, I guess.
And then
down the road.
I use AI for also scheduling. So I have it like in my calendar, like always scheduling things. So I don't get due dates, don't get past me and stuff like that. So I also use it behind the scenes in a different way, even though I'm one person. So I don't.
But is that AI or is that just more automation? Because there is kind of a difference.
It's kind of a difference. I want to say it's AI, just because it actually takes things and puts it where it thinks they should go. It's not like you're saying, oh, go here, or this go here, and do that every time. It's not like that. It actually thinks where it should put things.
So it's making some basic decisions on your behalf.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
But it doesn't do the work for me, of course. But it does help me streamline my day and stuff like that. So, yeah, more back office stuff still.
See, I've tried to use AI to help with like some of my graphics and but it doesn't. That's the one area right now where AI is terrible, is designing graphs and charts and making them make sense and not just having a bunch of gobbledygook on there and like misspelled words or just like weird symbols and stuff. And that's So if I could get that, like, man, that would really help out. But as it is, I have to do all that manually. And so, again, I embrace AI and I welcome it to a point. But in law enforcement, actually in the entire criminal justice system, I am extremely leery of it. But whether I am or not, it doesn't really matter. I think it's just it's pushing its way in the door, much to the chagrin of me and Dan and maybe Bailey. I have to say, Bailey, your idealism, though, I love it.
I don't know if it's idealism necessarily. I did catch that word, and I don't know. I just, from my background and my studies, and normally I'm a half-empty kind of guy by nature, but
well, you're much more optimistic on it than I am, and Dan. I think, and it's not even I'm pessimistic. I look at it realistically. Like I think people think of it as cynicism, but I just, when you're around a while, I think you just start to see how humans are, right? And
people always push the boundaries on things. And
well, there's
think this is
people
no different.
Yeah, there's people that are good, and there's people that are not, or people that want to take shortcuts. And I'm not even saying that if you take a shortcut, you're a bad person. Believe me, we've all been there. But the shortcuts are going to win out ultimately. All it takes is somebody to come along and say, I found this, and then other people are going to start to use it, and that's maybe that becomes a standard. And I think that's where we're at with this in the criminal justice system, unfortunately. And it's just the beginning of it. And again, maybe Bailey's right, and maybe we're going to see more legislative action, and they're going to put marks all over these documents and say, hey, this was generated by AI, and then lawyers are going to say, hey, well, if it's generated by AI, that means I get to scrutinize it more, and bond will continue, and we're going to have 85 continuances because it's going to take, but it's going to make everything take longer, and that's the problem, right? But unless we're going to hire 56 new judges
that's the cost
per
you pay
district.
For using the AI.
That's why I brought up the issue earlier that everyone's going to be rushing in to try to make profit off of this AI in every way possible. And the criminal justice system is no exception. And so you're going to have these companies rushing in saying, I could do your police reports and complicate them. And so we need to all have this conversation right now. And I'm glad we are. And I'm glad we're having this discussion. It's going out there because I don't have the answers. And I love that we have a great sidebar where none of us are saying I'm right or, but I just know AI's coming. It's going to, there's going to be a mad rush to try to make this profitable. They're going to promise efficiency. We have to ask questions about the constitutionality about this. And this can go absolutely. I would welcome it to the appellate level of the courts because it becomes less about, nothing about the merits really. It becomes, has there been a constitutional violation of someone's rights in a trial? So it's not about did the police officer do a good pullover or anything like that. If you go to the appellate level, you can't just come in with the merits and say that was a bad pullover. No, that's not how it works at the appellate federal level. You have to come in with the jurisdiction and your standing, which is my client's constitutional rights were violated, and we can have a conversation about whether or not the transcript that was relied upon during this and this and this is valid, and then maybe a case is turned back to the remanded back for a retrial, or it's just turned over completely. I absolutely see that happening at some point because somebody at some point is going to rely on bad information. Someone's going to be sitting behind jails, losing their liberty. We're going to find out that this document that the police department decided to remove the header and the footer that said this is an AI generated document that was relied upon. That's a violation of someone's, you know what I mean? So it becomes less about what the crime they did, whether they, got a DUI or what have you. Those cases are going to bubble up. And if it's a really good case, I could see in maybe 2, 3, 4 years, this gets to the Supreme Court and they make a standing decision that will be across the board, which is, whatever the legal question might be. We have no idea what that legal question can be.
Yeah.
But what I do know this is there's interest groups out there that try to create cases like, I'm not going to name their name here, but the company we've been talking about, it's not unusual for industries to actually generate cases and actually act irresponsibly. Like, let's say a company decides to remove a header and a footer, and they systematically do that, and they give their clients the option to do that. They test that, basically doing a beta test in legal world, and it impacts people's lives. A case, they're waiting for it to bubble up, hoping that this will be appealed by the defendant. Let's say I got pulled over and I relied on this company. I got busted because of this. There are people waiting in the weeds who wait long times to get a case like this up there because they want it to go to the Supreme Court to say AI can be used to do X, Y, and Z. Again, we're kind of getting into the political side of things, but that's how my brain works. That's kind of how I view this case. Is I'm not worried about the integrity and the marble of our judicial system. I'm sorry, there's nobody going to be going into a court system and accepting AI to be deciding their fates in anytime soon.
I sure hope not, Bailey.
Give
That's
it a
not gonna-
generation or two.
Yeah,
As people grow up with the technology, they become accepting of the technology. That's kind of been the history of the world.
This is kind of a
So,
corny analogy,
see.
but vinyl came back, guys. That's all I'm going to say. Vinyl came back. The classics came back. People love the old school kind of stuff, the intimate
But it's
stuff.
nostalgia more than it is a like.
Necessity.
Well,
It's
Shows
not
like
like,
this.
yeah.
Shows
if
like
you
this
want, we
are-
can do a second hour of sidebar here where we discuss how the timeline ended in 1999 because we just keep repeating old stuff now.
Well,
'Cause that's-
there's that too. I mean,
That's kind of what happened.
I mean, yeah, I
Everything-
see.
Everything went gray and bland, and we keep bringing back old stuff.
Yeah, like cassette players and stuff like
Bell
that.
bottoms.
The same
Well,
movie
bell bottoms
done
keep
9
coming back.
different
They came
ways.
back in the '90s. They came back.
Those will
some-
never come back. I'll say
The
that. I'll say that.
leggings,
Bell
bell
bottoms are
bottoms.
never coming back.
No, when I was in high school, Bailey, they came back in 1994, 5, 6. They were back then. So
It was French roll my senior year.
yeah, I mean, like, and the and then I remember being out and about and seeing bell bottoms coming back in the 2010s. It seems like it's this 20 years sort of 15, 20 year cycle where stuff just kind of comes back. I mean, still to this day, I mean, look at what the most popular shows are on Netflix. Cheers and Friends and The Office, all shows from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s because stuff that's out today sucks. I mean, that's clearly that's what the message is. If people are wanting to watch 30 and 40-year-old shows, I mean, those are great shows. Well, Cheers is a great show. Friends, not so much. In The Office,
Well, you
I'm
can
not really
argue that
into,
we're
but-
creatively bankrupt, and what are people doing to try to fix that? They're running to AI, which is just recycling old ideas because that's what it's trained on.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too, is it's trained on those old ideas. So now you're just getting, you're putting it into a blender, and it's a fancy way to do it, but it's still the same kind of thing. It's going to be interesting to see how these cases revolving around the AI music generation, how they ultimately play out. I mean, that's a long legal battle. Who knows if I'll even be alive by the time that gets resolved, because that could be decades down the road. Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because I think that's going to kind of shape how other cases go forward, even in the legal system.
I agree. Well, per our normal arrangement, we solved absolutely nothing tonight.
No.
Excellent.
So congratulations to all of us on that. But I think this is something that we should keep an eye on and perhaps discuss again in the near future as,
Agreed.
as
Agreed.
this continues
It's
to
going to come
develop.
up again.
Oh, it is. I mean, like the other company, this Harvey that I brought up that Eli covered, and there's more like it, and it's just going to continue to get in deeper and deeper, and I think we're just going to have to keep an eye on what's the effect on the system. If used right, it could help, but
Sure.
how good are we at using things right? I guess that's the question. It comes down to my old adage about doing the next right thing. But if you're having AI pick the next right thing for you, you might have a problem.
Sure.
Perhaps. Ashley, final thoughts?
I am interested to see how this develops, see where we go in the future, and yeah, we have your eye on you, AI, and seeing how you affect the core system.
Oh, it's listening. Michael?
Yeah, I'm going to be watching very carefully to see how this plays out in terms of law enforcement and then how it translates into the courts. Bailey makes a great point about how this will end up legislatively. I'm sure it's just going to be a big mess, and every state is going to handle it differently, and we'll have 50 different versions of how AI will be handled by the courts. And that's going to be fantastic because we'll have lots to talk about it. Good content creation.
Courts come in. Yeah.
Bailey?
Well, first, love to Kim. Love you. She's had a tough week. She's been busting her butt, and she wanted to make sure to spend an hour with us. So thank you for watching. For everyone else out there watching, don't pick up any cases because you just may be featured on Sidebar.
Yeah, or you could be judged by AI. So
Or that. Yes.
also possible. So we'll go ahead and leave it there. We'll be live again on this channel tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, a half an hour early for channel members. Do us a favor on the way out if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button. This is a news show. We're only on like episode 7 or something like that. It has to build its own audience, but that's only going to happen if you guys help support it. So like button, keep commenting, things like that. But appreciate all of you. And again, we'll be back tomorrow morning. In the meantime, take care. God bless.
Thank you.
Good night.